Get off your ass and exercise. I know some people don't want to hear this, but having good physical fitness really does mitigate about 90% of acquired, illnesses. If you move your body, you can further prevent dementia in your older age. Dementia, Alzheimer's, those are they kind of classify as type 3 diabetes. Your brain becomes insulin resistant later on in life. I think every day I feel like we stray further and further to how bodies are supposed to function. When I go on Instagram and I see like deep fried Oreos with like deep fried cream slapped on deep fried plates, you're going to give yourself a heart attack. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games until you lose a leg. You have more accountability in your healthcare than you like to think. People say, yeah, I caught diabetes and runs in the family. No, no one in your family runs. That's how you caught it. That's the thing.
With us today is a gentleman who is killing it in a space that a lot of us need to learn about in healthcare. He has an incredible Instagram handle, Goat in the White Coat. And I was like, with a title like this, he definitely got to be on the pod, my man Theo Jones. How you feeling today, man? Thanks for being on the show.
What's going on, brother? How you feeling? Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Actually, a good friend of mine, Justin, I met him in the Golden Sachs program. I think he did one of his like events that he does online for entrepreneurs. And when I seen it, I was like, that looks dope. And I've been interested in AI for like the last 3 years. I mean, even well before that, I had been interested in like looking at studies of AI in healthcare. So
Okay.
I kind of like when I seen your thing was AI, I was like, let me see if I can lock in with this brother and jump on his pod. Uh, and I'm really big on building systems, so it made sense.
Yeah, man. Yeah, systems is what makes our business work in an efficient way where we don't get burnt out, we don't get too overwhelmed. So that's good to hear, man. And I appreciate you checking out the pub with Justin. So that was fun, and it's always good to know that you get solid feedback. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. So you
Definitely.
so you just told us you're in the healthcare space. So tell us what you do and how it goes down.
Sure. Yeah. My name is Theo Jones, of course, and I run a company called Whitecoat Concierge. And what we do is concierge medicine. And the space that I'm in is pretty niche, but it's been around for years and years. So back in the day, before yesteryear, doctors used to do house calls. They used to show up with the bag and they used to check you out at home. And after a while, we kind of got away from that. So in the market that I'm in the Maryland, Delaware, Virginia market, and in this market is three huge healthcare conglomerates. We got Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland, MedStar. We got LifeBridge on the side. And after a while, what you started to see was that they were buying up all of the little privately, independently owned practices and rolling up the doctors into their systems. And after a while, that quality of health started to suffer, in my opinion, because, when I was young, I had an old school pediatrician and he had been my family doctor for a long time. He worked privately, and he moved through the space with such ease. He retired, man. When I came out of school and I finished training, he was just retiring. He sold his practice, but when I trained with him, he taught me a lot about how to run an independent practice. And after a while, the only thing I could think was, how could I make this better? How can I make this more fitting? And how can I make more use of a small private practice feel combined with an advanced push into individualizing healthcare and to make it better for, whoever my client may be. And at the time, I didn't realize who my market was. And from there, it was this show, man, on USA. Me and my dad used to watch it when I was in college. It was called Royal Pains. And it was about a doctor that just happened to find himself in the Hamptons. And he starts doing private medicine for these like clients that have these like homes in the Hamptons. And I was like, oh, that looks cool. And down the line, I remember I was training at a family medicine office. And I remember telling the doctor that was training me at the time, like, hey, I'm going to open up a practice that's 24/7, takes private clients, and they're going to pay out of pocket. And I remember her looking at me and she says, that would be amazing, but it's never going to work. And we went on with the rest of our day. And from there, I kind of just I sat with that idea for a little bit, and then maybe about 2017, 2018, I started considering this whole idea of telemedicine. Right? I thought, hey, maybe I can just like open up a telemedicine practice and run it, and just see people virtually and like offer them the service to make it easier. And this is I thought about this a little bit before like the pandemic was starting. Well, who knew it
Mm-hmm.
was going to come? But I was thinking about this the minute I finished the fellowship in acute pain management at the
Okay.
time, and I was like, I'm going to launch this the minute I get my feet firmly planted on the ground. I filed for the LLC in 2018 of December
Mm-hmm.
2018, and then from there I signed up with a simple EMR. Got started. I was giving out a cheap deal at the time, man. It was like $20 a month for like unlimited telemedicine. Just
So,
see your provider anytime.
real quick, can you explain what the EMR is?
Oh yeah, electronic medical records. I'm sorry.
Right. So that's just where
So
you store your files and maintain
yeah,
records for your clients, right?
yeah. So you store your files, maintain records for your clients. You can do with the one that I particularly picked out. It did billing and video, like video calls, like
Okay.
just like how we're doing now. This is when it probably wasn't as popular as it is now. People can just pull out their phones and jump on it and say, "Hey, I want a video visit." Back then, it had to be on a computer and they had to have like wired connection
Yeah.
on it, just for that particular medical record. And we well, when I say we, I mean me. And at the time, I had just hired an assistant. I had just hired an assistant to kind of run this thing with me, so I can have someone like steady doing stuff in the background because I would be the actual working face. I'm still a working face, but I don't work as hard as I used to.
Okay.
um,
Okay.
so we started with telemedicine. We did that for about a year. So we were doing like $20 a month for each patient, which was a still. I still have a few patients that came in at that price point, and I promised I would never change it, and they're still getting that same price point to this day.
No, that's good for you, man. That's good on you, man. That's how you do service.
Hey man, I'm a man of integrity and morals, and I lean heavy into hospitality for certain things, and we'll talk about that a little bit later because it was this book, man, that really changed my life towards hospitality. But we kept the price point. So twenty around about 2020, pandemic hit, and it was this market of people that was like not trying to leave the house, but they still had to travel. They still had to do all these different things. And what I ended up doing was I was doing house calls for COVID testing, right? And I seen that this market was huge because the people that were calling me were these like CEOs, these actors, these people that need to travel the world, people of leisure. They're like, "Hey, I want to travel. Can you get these documents done and we can leave? I got to go to Fiji. I got to go to the West Coast to do this deal. I got to go do it. I got to do all these different things." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I can come out do the testing at home." It was an easy thing. I ended up filing what they call a CLIA license, a CLIA waiver, right? So it's basically so you can act as an independent lab.
Okay.
Uh, so I ended up paying for a CLIA waiver, and I started ordering the tests from a couple of suppliers, and it got really uh, it got really big, right? So from like 2020 to 2021, this is before they got the private testing, the CVS and Walgreens, that they made it like cheap enough to actually make it. So it got really popular in between that time. Um, but what I realized was like I ran up all this revenue and created this client book, and I was trying to figure out what can I do with this client book to try to continue this success that I built out. And I was like, if they love the testing, why wouldn't they love having primary care anywhere they go,
Right.
built into that time? So I started to roll out this concierge medicine service to these
Real
clients.
quick. How did they find you in the beginning? Like right before then.
Word,
Like you said they was just calling you. Like,
word of mouth, man. So
okay.
what did I? Well, I can't remember what I did, man. I think I did testing for someone.
Okay.
Um,
For the right person. That person was the one.
I did testing for the right person. It was a guy that owned I think he owned like an event hall or something like that. I think I
Okay.
did testing for her. Man, I've seen so many patients at this point on that side of the fence. I was like, man, I can't remember who was the first client. It was I had a few first clients for a few different things, but I think I like tested for the right person. And a practice like this is it's not really one of those practices that you're outside, flashing a sign like, "Hey, we do concierge, come on in," because you get the wrong customer base with that rate with that attitude, right? So it was kind of like I did the right test for the right person. It was a word of mouth thing, and they were like, "Hey, this guy's great. You should call him." And then we just kind of rolled out the testing over time. It was just one person called another person called another person. It was like, hey, this is the guy. Let's make sure he does it. Get him out here. Let's do it. It got so big to the point that I even started getting contracts with like some of the local businesses where I would come in and I would do it at the first Monday of the week to make sure that plumbers can go out to go into other people's homes, or to make sure that some of their workers could go out to go into other people's homes. So we were
Nice.
testing. We were testing once a week, every week of the month. So with these like corporate contracts rolling out, we were like, man, we got to figure out how to you know get this going. So what I ended up doing from there was like I started rolling on concierge. I have no idea who the first like client was. You're right. I should probably find them and shake their hand because they like put me on a path. So I ended up rolling it out, and I initially I was like slow on the uptake. It wasn't a lot of people taking the bait. They would call and still want to get like urgent care kind of visits or like primary care visits, and that was fine. Like I would do it, and I couldn't figure out my niche of how to like get people to sign up for a service. People were poor with commitment. I'm pretty sure you know this. People were like, I don't want to commit to that. I don't know. I don't think it's for me. Um, and they don't teach you how to sell in school, right? They don't like
Let's
we
put,
work in
let,
healthcare.
let me jump in because you mentioned quite a few things, and I was like, "Damn!" So, what are you trained as a medical professional? What are you trained as? Hey, quick break in the video to bring you two things. First, if you didn't know, 78% of customers shopping for services online go with the business that responds first, not the best and not the cheapest, but first because that speed gives them confidence that you can get the job done. So if you're a service-based business owner and you know you're losing leads because you're either too busy with fulfillment or you drown it in all the other admin work, click the first link in the description and I can help you set up a system that responds in 2 minutes and not 2 hours. This way you won't lose deals or clients to businesses that are responding first. You can start to make more money every month and continue to grow your business. Second, if you're a business in Baltimore and you want to share your expertise, share your origin story, talk about how you got to where you are in your business, and you want to learn how to use AI to grow your business into the future, click the second link in the description and apply to be a guest on the Build Different podcast. All right, now let's get back to the show.
I'm a
You're a
nurse
nurse or doctor?
practitioner.
All right.
So
So boom. So you're a nurse practitioner, right? And I really, because I know you're gonna kill it on this one. You just mentioned your client book, people taking the bait. They don't teach you how to sell. I was like, well, how does he know so much about business? So did that come in training? Did it come from the people you trained under? Was it because you was kicking it with your dad? Like, how do you know so much, so fast in your business?
man, it's so much, man. So I got a little bit of game from the people I trained under. I read books, man. I read so many books. Like one of my favorite books that I've ever read, 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. Um, what what else? The E Myth. The E Myth was a great book. Build with Tony Fadell. I'm looking at my bookshelf as right now.
Yeah.
Decoding Greatness. That Principles by Ray
Right
Dalio.
now.
It's
Yeah.
so many business books that I've read. I also took MBA. I took MBA courses. So
Okay.
I
There
ended
we
up.
go.
This is after the fact though. So
Got you.
this is after I launched. I also did Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, which is
Yeah.
very instrumental. I did the program like 2 years ago. But this was after I had been in business for about maybe 4 or 5 years. But the Goldman Sachs program, man, it's like a a 12-week MBA rolled into one. So it's like doing the MBA twice. And I feel like it really changed my trajectory of how I planned to manage my business, and also changed my trajectory with connections because I met so many people. I was just at the national conference at the end of October. I think Michael Bloomberg came out and spoke. Tony, the guy who's the founder of Hess, um, AG1 CEO, man, a whole bunch of people that was out there, and they were like on stage talking. It was a whole bunch of small business owners. We all came to DC. We went to Capitol Hill, spoke. It was just a huge, powerful event,
Man, that's
and
that's dope.
yeah, you learn a lot the more you kind of like figure out how to get your feelers out into the city to try to learn business. It's a big Baltimore business scene that people don't really look into.
All right. So I had that question for you. Like literally, that's what I'm saying. See, we already knew. We already knew to make this happen. I literally have written right here. A lot of people talk about like what's difficult about building a business in Baltimore, but you have some success in Baltimore. I know other people had success. So there are some advantages. So what are the advantages that you kind of you was able to flip and bounce and pull into your business so that you could succeed in this area?
Oh, definitely. You know, the thing is, like, people think that Baltimore is not a large market. Baltimore is a huge market because it's connected to bigger markets. It's so close. You can get to Philly in about 54 minutes. You can get to New York by train in an hour and
54.
30 minutes.
Yep.
50, man. I put that pedal to the metal, but
Yeah.
you get to DC in, 45 minutes. You know, you ask any Baltimore person, DC 45 minutes away. But what you don't what people don't understand is that you have access to so many large markets that you can get to. I built a lot of client base in like the PG, like DC market, where those like expensive communities are, that people say, people overlook, because I've everybody I've spoken to in the past have said Baltimore is not the right market for a concierge practice. Why not? Why not?
Yep.
Why not have it as a base, especially when I can easily get licensed in all of these surrounding states and see patients in all of these surrounding states? Just because someone doesn't live here full time doesn't mean they can't be treated or be in the program. It's more of a broad region thing, not just a geographic thing. Because I've licensed myself in California, I've licensed myself in Florida, I've licensed myself in Minnesota, DC. I've licensed myself in all these different states so that when my clients travel, they have access to me and I can prescribe and I can treat and I can direct, right? So I've created myself a network from this little city that they say has no building blocks in it, and I've met so many other people come through Baltimore by way of going to DC or going to New York, or I'm going to Florida, I'm going to go to Miami, but I still have this reach to treat these people who come here, or even for that point, for lack of infrastructure, I can have people come in, I can work with them, they fly in, I work with them, and they fly right back out.
Got you, got you. And that's a part of the concierge element. So can you break that down for us a bit? Because I already know when I hear the word concierge, it's like white glove type treatment. So
Yes.
and that appeals to your client base.
Okay, so concierge medicine as a whole is about access, right? So for a regular person, they gotta go to a hospital ER and they gotta wait for about 2, 3 hours, and they'll probably get 5 minutes with the provider, 30 minutes with the nurse, and then they'll probably be in the room waiting for about another 2, 3 hours before they either get discharged or admitted to hospital medicine, right? With the concierge process, we do primary to like urgent care wherever you are, right? So when I say we're a practice of access, so I don't know, say you want to get Viagra delivered to your front door, but you don't like swallowing pills. You want to get it in like a dissolvable form that you can put under your tongue, right? So I could pretty much say, hey, all right, I'll get it to you in about 48 hours. I'll place an order, get a trophy delivered to your house, and you're amazingly happy because you don't have to swallow a pill and you got what you needed in under 48 hours. And it's usually a joke that I tell. I can get anything done for you for the right price in 36 hours because, quite honestly, yes, I can. If you want a whole body scan by
Yep.
Wednesday, I can have a whole body scan done for you, scheduled, and have you on the table by Wednesday. If you want to get yourself into a specialist in the next week, I could probably get you in to see a orthopedic surgeon to fix whatever bunion you have in about a week and have you pre-op and labs done in home and walk you through whatever process you need. I think that people overlook the idea that access gets you a lot of different things, and it's a different world when you can buy that access.
And so you can get people these things in under 36 hours. You're such a I don't want you're a professional pharmaceutical professional. But if we made a reference to another kind of professional, right? They got access, they got the plug. So it seems like that's
Right.
what you had because of your certifications and because of your training and everything. So that's how you're able to get these things in such a short amount of time, right?
100% the plug, man. So I think when you create a network of different suppliers, it's easier to say, hey, let me get on the phone call this person. Let me get on the phone call that person. See who got what and see who I can go to. Everybody that I work with, they have a representative that's a front facing version of me in some ways, right? So you have the pharmacy concierge, you have the concierge for the imaging center, you have the concierge for the, whatever you're looking for, right? And you communicate with these people quite regularly to get what you need, almost like brokers, right? So if you
Okay,
want to
yeah,
buy a
yeah.
stock, if you want to buy a stock on the floor, right? You say you call up your broker and say, hey, give me 20 shares of Palantir at 11.42, and then once you get that, price is locked in, price go up $15. You call and say, hey, let me sell it. I want to get my profit, and then you call back, wait for the price to go down, and say, hey, I want to get that again. So we we deal with different suppliers to get what we need in an adequate time for our clients.
Got you. Got you. So one more thing about Baltimore, because you seem to be able to leverage with our location. Also, like you said, we're close to a lot of other big medical institutions. Like I used to have my business at Hopkins, so I know how that goes. Um, but Baltimore gets stereotyped a lot. And so have you ever had that impact your business, or has that been something that somebody may have said, like in a casual convo or anything?
So I'm still a hospitalist, and I go to a few different hospitals, and I'll admit, or like round on patients, and they'll be like, "Hey, you're such a nice guy. Where are you from?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from Baltimore," and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I heard about Baltimore." And I feel like the stereotypes of Baltimore is just so old. You know what I mean? That's like saying white men can't jump, right? It's you got Luke out here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You got Kristaps Porzingis, or it just doesn't fit anymore, especially since Baltimore is becoming such a hub. Like it's tech startups here. We have so many businesses coming out of this city that stereotyping Baltimore still, it just kind of seems lame.
Yeah.
And
And that's the re-
anybody from yeah, and anybody, and also anybody from Baltimore, they'll never talk bad about Baltimore. They'll be like, it's home. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Exactly. So, and that's why I started this podcast so we can break through some of those stereotypes, for Baltimore as a whole, and then Baltimore as a hub for business, for industry, for progressiveness. So I think that we might be on the verge of something here if you and I keep doing what we're doing now. So, talking about the business, let's talk about the operations. Like, so what is a typical week like for you? You said you do some hospital visits. You got your own private clients. What's a typical week like for you?
Whew. I think honestly, man, I think my week starts on Sunday night. Sunday night, I start with the idea dumping of what actually needs to get done during the week. So it's a few processes and how clients can submit requests, or try to ask for things that they need. They can either go through email. So if you go to the client VIP email, you shoot a request in. So the request, once you submit it through the email, it goes to me. It goes to my executive assistant, who does the operations on the back end for me. We'll get it from there, or the request will go through the Weekend Whitecoat mobile app. So
Nice.
clients can go to the Apple Store or the Android store, download the app, set up their profile, and what they can do is they can go to a text consult portion of it. They can put in a text consult. Once they place a text consult, it'll come to me. I can triage it, or they can just simply call and say, "Hey, this is what I need," or send a simple text.
I
So once
like
I
that. I like that.
what?
No, I was
Yeah,
just saying I
yeah,
like that. Yep.
yeah. So once I get a clear list of what I need to do, I'll start sketching out how soon I need to do it, and I'll start going over the game plan with my assistant Monday morning. But I plan out Sunday night, because Sunday night is a big night for me, because this is when I start to get rest. It's when I start to get ready for my weekends. When I start to kind of plan out what needs to get done. Last week I came off one of the busiest weeks I had in a while. Actually, the last 2 weeks have been busy because the holidays are coming. But from there, Monday looks like I usually wake up. I usually try to get a workout around about this time, but we recording, so after I'm done here, I'm going to go run a mile, do some weights, and then
Nice.
I'm going to continue on with my week. Today in particular, we did the podcast. I'm slowing down this week because I want to try to ramp down for the holidays. So this week, probably go through orders. So it's a portion of my business. We do like medical weight loss for some clients. So I'll go through orders, make sure everybody get their orders, make sure they deliver it, email everyone who has questions about the medication. After that, I'll go through client requests. After I go through client requests, I follow up with people who I've seen the prior week. I make sure I add anybody to my schedule for the following week that needs to be added to the schedule, and I just go through any requests that my assistant may have gotten. By Tuesday, Wednesday, I had already seen a few patients. In the evening, I go into the hospital. I admit maybe about 7 patients a evening on the medicine side. I still monitor everything 24/7. So um yeah, it's just an ongoing continuous loop. It's 24/7 practice, and there are a few ways I was able to make it 24/7. Um, of course, with like systems, AI, automation, I can easily see things, triage things, and see what's going on. So I kind of I don't feel like I work continuously, but I feel like I built my life into work, and I built work into life. If that makes sense.
Got you. Got you. That's what it takes, man. That's what it takes, right? You got prep. You got to be ahead of the game, and if you're doing it right, you get busy at some point, right? Because the demand is high. So, and that's what most businesses want. We want high demand. So when you get all that demand, people are hitting you. They call in, they hitting you on the app. Like, do you have any kind of business bottlenecks right now that, like, you need to solve? Like after the holidays, you like, man, I need to work this out so that things can get smoother.
Well, bro, everybody's sick after the holidays, man.
So
So
you know it's coming, huh?
I know it's coming, man. Listen, everybody comes in from out of town. Family comes to visit. Everybody got a coffin, niece, nephew, whatever it is. They roll through, get the client sick, and everybody's like, "Hey, I got a common cold. Hey, I don't know. I think I got COVID. Hey, I think I got the flu. Can you do something? Help, help, help." Now, what is my bottleneck after the holidays? I would say my bottleneck is the sheer volume of people calling saying, "Hey, I don't feel well." So how do I triage and get all of these people seen, right? How do I? Who's more? Who? If there is no such thing as more important. It's just more. Who's more urgent to see versus who's not urgent. Who needs further testing and who's like simple symptoms? Because some people can be a simple like sinus infection. Other people can be as serious as actually having the flu or COVID. Um, so I try to it's this AI that I use. It's called Marbleism.ai, and they have
Okay.
like a a customer support tracking profile, and it kind of just gives you everybody that like reached out. If they reach out via email, it'll show up in there. But if they kind of like if they text or message me, I'll have to kind of input it in myself manually. But the way it is, like it'll take the complaint, it'll list the complaints out and who has the complaint, and it'll kind of give me a lot of leeway to try to track how I'm
Nice.
working with them and how I'm moving them through it, which I like a lot because it kind of gives me a way to organize and see who I've seen and who I haven't had a chance to touch bases with, and it changes every day about how soon or how slow or how fast someone needs to be seen or how their interventions need to be augmented to make it suitable for the situation. So uh, I think that the bottleneck I probably will see is the volume itself.
Got you. Got you. Yeah, and then you're the only practitioner within Weekend White Coat, or do you
Listen,
have more?
it's two, so it's two of us.
Okay.
But I would say as far as like the logistics go into, I probably dole out the logistics. This is more the other provider. He sees the patients when I he sees the patients when I'm like, hey, you know, can you see these patients for me? And he kind of pop in when needed. But I would say for the most part, the clients pull up for me.
Got you. Got you. I like that. Marbleism, that's something that's unique to the healthcare industry. And that's what a lot of people need to understand about like AI. You can start with general tools and it'll help you with a lot of repetitive tasks. And then the more you get used to it, the more you'll learn about like new tools. And if you're in a very specific industry, then you'll start to get industry specific tools. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about some private practice medical, I'm guessing, I mean, we don't get paid by Marbleism, but you just shared some game in case people was experiencing that kind of
Yeah,
problem. So
oh yeah, yeah. It's another one that I really like, but this is like a it's more like a ambient AI that listens in when you're seeing patients. It's called Free.ai. And the way it works is you kind of just walk in, you cut it on, you listen, it just listens to everything that the patient says. And at the end of the visit, it kind of takes all of the details and condense it into these notes. And once it condenses it into these notes, it gives them patient education, patient feedback, and what you can do the next steps to, to start to, you know, feel better or move into the right direction. But what I
it,
really like is the patient education,
is that specifically for the medical space or is free that AI for all businesses?
specifically for the medical space.
Okay, I
It,
thought
it,
so. The way
it's
you broke down the three different parts.
Yeah, it's like a medical AI scribe. So
There you
once
go.
upon a time, they used to have scribes where you can just call. dictate. That's it. But now it's more like, hey, the AI listens and it kind of organizes it. And it honestly it makes it 3 times faster for me because if I want to do notes, all I gotta do is click, click, boom. That's it.
Got you. Got you. So what's something that people in your industry think, and you kind of come to figure that they're completely wrong? So like other medical professionals, not your clients or patients, some other medical professionals, that what are they thinking? But you're like, yo, that's not the truth. That's not how it really goes.
Well, most people think concierge is just us giving the patient whatever they ask for frivolously, and that's not what that is. So, a lot of times when I work with clients, we break down a lot of data. We break down numbers. So, I mean, I see you touching your aura ring.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's a
so
habit.
Aura Ring has a lot of data that we use for clients. Same thing with Apple Watch. Same thing with Garmin. Same thing with Whoop. We take a lot of that data. You can actually go to your health app in your iPhone. Go to it. You can enable your health data to be fed into the Weekend Whitecoat app, so we can take some of that
That's
measured
dope.
data
That's dope.
and we can kind of make clinical decisions based on that measured data. And this is only if the client wants us to, but we can take that data and we can say, hey, you're not sleeping well. How about you try magnesium for 6 weeks? Or we can take that data and say, hey, your VO2 max is not low. How much cardio exercise are you doing in a month? Or, we can take data insights and we can make recommendations based on that. It's not always about, hey, this patient said that they have a cold and they wanted an antibiotic. That's not how that works. That's not how we work. The way we work is that we make actual insights. Concierge is individualized medicine, not give me what I want when I want it medicine. So I think a lot of my colleagues kind of get that idea wrong because the first thing I say is like, oh, you just give a whole bunch of high price people whatever they want when they ask for it. That's not the case all the time. But
Right.
I would say about every occasionally I get about maybe like 10% of a client base that's like, hey, I want this and I need this when I need it.
Yeah,
And
and I would imagine so, right? Because you're dealing with a higher end clientele who are kind of used to getting their way. So
right,
yeah.
right. I mean, which is fine. I'm not gonna, some stuff is like, all right, cool, I'll make that concession. It's not a big deal, right? Ain't like they asked me to hide something from like 10 years ago, right?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so if I feel like if you give a patient a certain portion of power in their care, the respect level that they'll have for you is a lot higher because they'll feel like they're a partner and not just a. It can be very paternalistic in this field, right? I'm no one's I'm no one's medical father, so I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to give you recommendations on how to live a better life. Now, whether you want to live a better life or not is up to you. But I'm not. I'm never going to. I'm never going to say, "Hey, you need to do this, or you're going to die, or you're going to do this." And I'm going to say, "Hey, listen, this is very advisable that you do this because if you don't, this is what will happen." And I think most people are smart. Most people that I work with are smart enough to understand that they have certain risks to what they do. So
Yeah.
I think that's where I go with that one.
So when it comes to the health space, what is like? So health is really intimate, right? And it can bother some people's level of security, right? It can poke at insecurities for some people. So what's a hard truth about the healthcare space that people don't want to hear? And this could be your peers or patients. Like, what is something that they just like? You are in a position of authority, not just because you run a business, but because you are a medical professional. So you got to tell them something that's real. Like, what's some of the top things that you got to tell them and they don't really like it?
Get off your ass and exercise. I know some people don't want to hear this, but having good physical fitness really does mitigate about 90% of acquired, illnesses. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes, that's the kind that's acquired, not that you're born with. Type 1 diabetes, you're born with it. If you move your body, you can further prevent dementia in your older age because let's be honest, dementia, Alzheimer's, they kind of classify as type 3 diabetes. Your brain becomes insulin resistant later on in life. Um, Hypertension, uh, that's something that also can be reduced with good cardiac health. Eating right, I think every day I feel like we stray further and further to how bodies are supposed to function. when I go on Instagram and I see like deep fried Oreos with like deep fried cream slapped on deep fried plates and shit,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, you're going to give yourself a heart attack. That's crazy. And, and the crazy thing is like these are things that I didn't learn until late in my own life, and I'm still I'm still on my journey too. But my journey's everybody's journey is different, but I didn't damage myself to the point where I can't come back from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all fun and games until you lose a leg. It's all
Listen,
fun and games until you. I'm just saying that is a hard truth that people don't want to hear. You have more accountability in your healthcare than you like to think. People say, yeah, I caught diabetes and runs in the family. No, no one in your family runs. That's how you caught it. That's the thing.
yeah, man.
It,
Listen. If anybody listening to this, anybody watching this, take it from a medical professional. I'm not telling you this. He's telling you. He sees it all the time. I like that. I like that a lot.
listen, health is your number one asset. Even if you do make $1 million, you can't spend it if you're unhealthy because you'll end up spending it on healthcare. Um, let's see what else. Another hard truth: saving for healthcare in the future is probably going to be one of the biggest things, especially with this current government administration. People don't take advantage of what HSAs really are. A health savings account is you investing into the future. So if you take, I don't know, $100, $200, throw it in the HSA, buy Vanguard Total Index, or buy Two Tech Two Index, and let it sit and appreciate, and then start to kind of siphon it off in your old age to pay for your healthcare expenses, you'll probably live a lot better, because depending on Medicare is going to get you squat. Trust me, I see older patients coming to the hospital almost every day with these like insurances that won't even pay for a full admission. They'll obs these people, they'll get a big bill outpatient, and they'll come in the next week and say, hey, I got this huge bill because you guys put me in observation and I can't afford it. Right?
Yeah.
So save for healthcare in the future. That would be my other truth. The third one: invest in your health. Invest in your health because it is probably one of the best investments that you will ever make.
So
Man,
what does
I
that look like for the people? I know you're about to break it down for us. So what does it
yeah,
mean? What does it look like for people to invest in their health?
investing in your health, man. Take time to actually spend a year with a personal trainer, right? Learn how to work out, learn how to move your body. You know how many people go into the gym cold and just like do a couple chest presses and be like, yeah, that's good, I'll be all right. It's not how that works. You actually have to learn how to move your body. And I'm only saying that because I did this. I took a year and a half with a personal trainer and learned how to move my body. And then from there, I kind of just moved out to different things: boxing, Muay Thai, doing like jujitsu, and just learning how to move your body and stretching, do yoga, invest in your body. If you have to, sometimes like doing peptides work for you, right? So some people overlook the idea of what a peptide can do for you. BPC 157, it promotes like healing really well, right? Sometimes if you got a mild injury of the joint, sometimes that can help, right? Or even if you want to do like NAD, or if you want to do what else?
What
There's
does
a lot of
NAD help
things.
with? Because I used to take the supplement, but for anybody that's listening, what does NAD help with?
So NAD helps clear up brain fog. It helps with energy. It helps with cellular reproduction, right? So I like to
Yeah.
use NAD. I like to use NAD, the injectable, not the supplement, the injectable one that
Okay.
probably kicks in a lot faster. Helps a lot with energy, brain fog, focus, and a lot of people who have the full ADHD symptoms that say they have ADHD and
Man.
they're not like really diagnosed, they do very well with NAD. Um, and I mean, that's another thing. Make sure you get the right diagnosis. Invest in the right provider. Uh, Investing in the right provider means a lot. You have best friends, you have lawyers. What they call it, the bail team. You get a bail team, right?
Yeah.
But you need to add provider to it. I don't know how that like acronym would sound after you add a provider, but having a good provider in your team is probably one of the biggest secrets that is kept, because if you have every one of those markets cornered, if you have a provider that can make good recommendations, it'll help. I mean, and I know this because like I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, right? And they'll say, "Hey, I can't function well. I'm trying to focus in on this big deal, and I don't. I lack energy. I lack this. I lack that." three or four recommendations can change your life from a licensed provider that actually knows what to recommend to you. So I think that having a provider on your team, which is a great investment that I not that I'm trying to plug my practice or anything, but having a provider on your team is a great investment. You can go find a good one at, I don't know, flip a book open on the website and see what your insurance is offering. Date your provider. I mean, you date the girl off Hinge or whatever the latest app is. Why don't you go see a provider and see what they got to offer you? Because I can guarantee you, a lot of people can't crack open that medical record and share with the person across from them and say, "Hey, I got tested for this, that, and that, and I don't have any of this on a regular basis," right? Because not that they have, it's just that just they don't see a provider. They don't know what their health is. Invest in a good dentist. It's a lot of health issues come from the mouth, right? People don't invest in that. Invest in a good recovery tool. Hyper Ice, they have. I mean, Hyper Ice has great recovery tools. Um, Jump in the sauna every once in a while, right? Jumping in the sauna 15 to 20 minutes a day, it can vastly increase cardiovascular health, right? Cold plunge, all of these different things that you can do to invest in your health. When you go online and you look and say, "Nah, I would never do that," because trust me, I used to be that person, like, "I ain't doing that shit," and then I turned around and I was like, "This actually works." So
I love it.
investing in your health is like number one.
I love it, man. I love it. I'm glad you broke that down. I had some background in. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, and
Yeah,
so I'm familiar with a lot of the things you're talking about. But I'm not going to lie. Like sometimes I never felt comfortable recommending these things because I'm not a medical professional in that sense. I can only tell people to do what I say. Work for me or from other people who I trust. Like if I'd have known you before, you probably be a person I'd be talking about. But now I could just send everybody to you. So I'm glad.
definitely.
I'm happy about that. But this is something that I think we should probably touch on before we close out. We got a few more minutes here, but it's important. I'm listening to you break this down. You're talking about helping entrepreneurs directly because health is your number one asset. That's exactly what I used to say because that's who my target was, right? But nobody cares about being plant based, not men anyway. But
Right.
it impacts entrepreneurs because we need to have high energy because we got a lot of things to get done. We got a lot of people to look out for, whatever the case may be. But also, you show up in the space. You're a black man who's in the space, and you're changing the lives of a lot of people. And I imagine some of these entrepreneurs you're talking to all across the different states and things that you where you're licensed, you're coming across some black entrepreneurs as well. What's that experience like? Is it great when you're working with them? Is it anything that you encounter as you've been getting licensed or just in the medical space at all?
Dude, I love working with like other black entrepreneurs. It's such a refreshing feel when I walk in the room and the patient looks over at me and I look like them and they like, "Yo, I got you." Because it's something about not having a code switch to explain something, or to have someone explain something to you in the correct terms and vernacular that just kind of changes the way you feel about it, right? And I work with all types of people, but it's something about being able to correctly communicate something with someone that looks like you, to the point that they're like, "Oh, no one's ever said it like that before," or "I didn't know that. No one's ever said that." And then you're looking at the notes, and I'm like, "Well, it sounds like they tried to tell you, but they didn't explain it right because they weren't comfortable enough to explain it." Um, I think the level of comfort and ease that I put some people in really contributes to the experience. And like I said, like I'm really big on hospitality. It was this really great book that I read by Wknd. It's called what is it? Hospitality. Dude, I love this book so
It's
much that I forgot the name. It's Unreasonable
unreasonable
Hospitality.
hospital. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I absolutely love that book, and I kind of subscribe to that method. That and I do the Rich Carlson method, right? With my team. So anytime I see a patient, it's just like, hey, this is the welcome that I want to roll out for you every time, and it's just one of those things that keep them coming back. But also I like that they have a safe space that they can come to because they don't really feel safe talking to other providers, or that may be perceived as like not black, or whatever the case may be, or like non-minority providers. How do I say that?
Yeah.
without being canceled in like this current age.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. One thing I learned from unreasonable hospitality was, and I'm paraphrasing, but when in doubt, always err on the side of generosity, right?
Yes.
Because that's going to take your business. That's the unreasonable part. Most people won't. Like I personally don't go by the saying that the customer or the client is always right. But at the same time, I always err on the side of generosity. What's the most generous thing I can do? If it's to give them a little bit more of this, then that's the thing you make happen. And it seems like that's what you're doing.
Right.
But yeah,
I mean, but it could be as simple. You know what keeps a lifelong customer? Your ability to remember the details. So, say your client has a dog who's named Thor, and Halloween comes around, and you send her a dog costume of like Thor and the hammer. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that. Or if someone comes and says, "Hey, I had a problem with this order," and you refund their money and let them keep it, despite it, not being completely damaged, right? Or whatever the case may be. Even if you can prove on your end that you did good business and you still refund it, no problem, or you comp them something, they'll have them referring customers to you. The best
yeah,
marketing that you can do is the customers that you already have. Why would I want to, and not unless they're just like full on like negligent and playing in my face, you know? Because if you playing in my face, I'll still do good business, but I'll cut you off as a client. That's your
right,
loss.
yeah,
But but if you're a good client to me and you come back regularly, and and I know for a fact that you're being as honest as you can be, I'm going to always be hospitable to you, and that's just free marketing in my opinion, right? Most people dump thousands into a marketing budget, running ads on Facebook, running ads on Twitter or whatever the case may be. I feel like my marketing dollars are better spent in hospitality initiatives or customer service bolstering, right? Sending out thank you cards, making sure clients get flowers for their opening day, or if someone's traveling, why not send a little like travel basket? Like here's Tylenol, here's like Benadryl, or like here's Claritin, and here's something to help you sleep. You know what I mean? Things like that make a difference in how you engage with your client. It's not just about calling and saying, "Hey, your appointment's in 6 weeks," and then hanging up. You got to keep the continuous engagement going so that your clients know that, hey, they're here for me. They're just not taking a check and like disappearing on me. Like, they're here to actually deliver quality care. So it's never about what you tell someone. It's about how you make them feel, right?
yeah, yeah.
So just like you said, when a black entrepreneur see a black provider, they feel amazing because they're like, okay, they relate to me. It's always how you make a client feel that changes their perspective. If I'm not paternalistic and I approach them in a way that they may need to listen or change these things, they're very receptive to the healthcare recommendations.
Got you, got you. So most of the audience here is people who are aspiring entrepreneurs, people that's already in the game. So we thinking about like the gears are turning now. They like what you got going on in the health concierge space, but maybe they don't want to come into the medical providing or anything, but they want to know more about how you think because I'm thinking about it now. So how does this business look going forward? Because people, medical doctors and practitioners, they have businesses for years, but it's also directly tied to them. Like you have to show up and provide the service. You, your partner, the other providers on your team, you have to show up and provide the service. So how do you see yourself growing the business? Like sometimes you don't really live out that far, right? So I ain't trying to say what's your 5 year, 10 year plan, but
Yeah,
as you see that, it's undeniable that your business is going to grow. So
yeah.
how do you see it going forward, though?
If you ask me my exit plan, man, the exit plan would be to sell, right? I
Okay.
think I think the best thing I can think that I would like to do going forward, roll up a few more practices, maybe like taking some like insurance based revenue offices, roll them up and then sell to like private equity. And I know that sounds crazy, or I'll bring in some strategic partners and take a little bit of a step back and do some other things in life. I mean, there's a few more things that I like to do. I can, I like to travel the world and learn how to be a chef and cook in different countries and like do all types of fun initiatives, or maybe buy a farm and open up a farm to table experience. I
I
don't
like
know,
that. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but I you're right. Working in healthcare is not going to be the end game for me.
No, I like it. I mean, you speak with so much clarity, and you can tell you have vision for just all of the tools, the equipment you have, how you understand your customer base. So I thought I'd ask because you just shared something that I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs think about. And I was guilty of this before too, but we don't think about the life we want. So our business, I believe our business should support the life we want, not just us supporting the business. So it means you have to hold a vision for what your life should be like. I want to travel the world. I want to cook in different countries. Well, it's going to take me some time to learn how to be a chef in Greece or in Ghana. You know what I mean? So you got to think about that going forward, because so you can build a business that allows you to make the money and to have the time. So no, it doesn't sound crazy. I 100% support you. If you want to sell that joint out to private equity, cash out, you go for it, because that's what other people are doing, and
Right.
that's the nature of business. Like it's always a bigger play. It's always a bigger play. So our last question, we talk about building business. What is one thing about how you run your business that makes you different? The name of the podcast is Built Different. So how are you built different, and how are you building different?
Yeah, man. Like I said, man, I operate in this like integrity and hospitality space. If we make the client feel really good, they'll always come back. Customer service is number one. I can't tell you how many times that I've walked into an institution and everybody just ignores me. You know what I mean? I always tell this funny story about Tiffany's. Now I remember I was going to like buy a gift, um, and I think I walked in. I had like $8,000 in my pocket, right? But I was dressed in like sweatpants and like I was just dressed down, like I just came from the gym. I was just working out, and I'll never forget how I walked past security and I walked in the store. I looked in the cases, and usually when you go in the store, everybody like they like rush and talk to you, right? And they'll be like, "Hey, how can I help you?" Just kind of like going into a car dealership. They're rushing, "Hey, can I help you? How can I help you?" No one spoke to me. I mean, literally, quite literally, not even a bedded eyelash. I looked around and I was like, "Yeah, I don't belong here." I left. I never bought anything from there, ever, ever, ever. I never even looked at the website again. This is about maybe 6 years ago now. At this point, never looked at the website again because how they made me feel was as if I didn't belong. Right now, if somebody makes you feel like you don't belong, that's not how you do business because your door is supposed to be open as a business. Even if clients call me that can't afford my services, I'll always direct them to someone that they probably can afford. Or if it's something simple, I'll give them a price for it. But I'll let them know like, hey, this is what I usually do. But turning someone away cold turkey because they're not your client fit is just not how you do business because you never know who they know, right? That could be someone going to the mayor's office tomorrow and saying, "Hey, you know what? I called this guy, and this is what he does." And they share your information, right? Or you never know who's going to connect you to the next degree that separates you. So I think that focusing on your customer service and your system of how you deal with your clients is probably should probably be at the center of your business because if you don't center your business correctly and figure out why you're really there and who you're doing it for, it's going to suffer because what's that old saying, if you like the way your music sound, put that shit on a CD and play it for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. No, that's great, man. I like what you said. That you should have a system for how you handle your customers. And that's something I think everybody needs to take away from this podcast. The way you borrow from the so people that don't know, for Unreasonable Hospitality, the author had the number one, was voted the number one restaurant in the world at some point in Manhattan, and how you adopted that to your business is amazing. So tell us where we can find you if they need concierge health service. How can they get in contact with you? How they get the
Oh,
app, website? Give us the rundown.
oh yeah, I love this part. This is my favorite question. If you need concierge If you need concierge services, you can go to weekendwhitecoat.com. You can also download the Weekend Whitecoat app from the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. If you want to call the office, you can call the office 24/7, 410-999-1742. The reception team will take your information down and we'll get in touch with you. If you happen to come across one of the referral links, you can always click on the referral link. I'll get it. There's no way that you can't access me. My personal IG handle, Goat in the White Coat, at Goat in the White Coat on Instagram, and the business Instagram is Weekend White Coat.
Love it. So what? Okay, maybe two more things.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
For entrepreneurs that's listening, and they like, Because low key it's a flex to have your own app. Like I built some, mostly web
Yeah,
apps. I never designed a mobile app, but I built specialized web apps for other clients and stuff like that, and it helps their internal team. But you
yeah.
have a web app, so was that a big investment? Was it difficult? Like how did you go about getting that done, real quick?
Oh man, it was a big investment. So it took I would say it took me maybe about 2 to 3 years to like find it. So like when we first started talking, right? I told you I had a EMR that I was
Yeah.
like subscribed to. So I was doing a I was using I was using an electronic medical record called Simple Practice, and it was good. It's a good product. But I started to feel like I was growing out of that product because I wanted to do something a little more specialized for my clients that had my brand on it, right? So you can't really elevate your brand if you're representing someone else's brand. If you say, "Hey, go to this website and look at and look at this brand's like information and sign up and do this." So what I started to do after a while is like I started to look of how I can find a developer. So everybody does the same thing. We start on Fiverr. We look all over the place and say, "Hey, I want to make this app." So my first app actually was just a little like web app of my website that you could just put on your phone. You tap it, it takes you to my website sign up page. And I was like, no, I need something a little more full scale. And I found a team in India. I found a team in India that could do it for me. I think the investment was maybe 8 grand up front at the time, and this is a few
Oh
years
man,
ago, so it might be a
that's
little. That's a steal, so it might
yeah,
be more
yeah.
expensive now. So I think the investment was like 8 grand at the time, and I still work with them to this day. I've been with them for maybe about 4 or 5 years at this point.
Oh man, they probably love
So
you, man.
I love them.
Yeah,
They the real ones. I just be the guy.
yeah, yeah. So you touched on the next question I was going to ask was about branding. So I checked out your website, your Instagram, even the names and the name of your domain. So you have a great awareness for branding, for naming, and personal brand. Like you are on your website, you can do that because it's a concierge service, so they know it's attached to you. But how does that play a part in your developing your business?
The brand or just me and myself?
You
I
no,
think
like
so.
personal branding.
Oh, personal branding. Okay,
Yeah.
so I had this conversation with my wife, man, and she's just like, you actually have to look the part. You gotta look like the brand. I mean, when I started out, man, I had like a 2006 Volvo XC90, man, which is an okay car, but like I think after a while it just kind of got beat up. And she was like, no, you need to buy a car that people will look at and be like, yeah, that's a concierge car, right? So I ended up getting like the electric Mustang when it first came out, all black, concierge,
Something
straight
about you
birded
look
out.
like you just have a muscle car, man. I know it's electric, but you look like the kind of guy, and I mean that in a good way, though. Yeah.
I bought the Mustang and I was like, yeah, this is it right here. This is a cost. And then buying a BMW, like, and then
That's what I
just
thought
started
you were gonna
investing
say
in.
first.
I do
BMW,
have, I do have, I got
not
both.
Mercedes. Not I knew BMW was because like I get it. I get it. Yep.
If you know, you know, right? So I ended up investing in that, and then like, all right, invest in your looks, right? Well, how are you supposed to look? What's your wardrobe gonna look like? What does your house call bag look like? What does your scrubs look like? How do you keep this consistent branding across the board? Because people going to look at you and they're going to think a certain way. I grew up in Baltimore, man. I grew up right off of Green Mountain, Preston. Eden, Oliver. I'm a Baltimore boy through and through. I'm older than some of these mailboxes here, right? So how do I make that transition from that Nike Tech to the quarter zip, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a funny thing right now, but it's just like how do you make that leap transition, and branding was probably one of the best ways to do it because honestly it fit the aesthetic. I had moved into this space mentally and physically where I had elevated myself and I wanted to elevate my looks. So what else does that look like? Getting the gym and work on your body, right? Who's going to believe someone that's not in good shape, right? If I can't say, hey, this is what I bench, this is what I VO2 max at, this is my mile. What can you do, right? How someone gonna look at you and be like, hey, he has a point, right? So if I tell a client like, hey, I ran a 10-minute mile yesterday, what did you do? they're gonna look at me and be like, "Well, I don't believe you." Hey, here's the metrics. I
Yeah,
break up
it's right here on my
my
watch,
health.
y'all.
It's right here on my watch.
Yep,
So what
yep.
can you do? You know. So I mean, it's all about the look and the feel of branding that kind of makes the business, right? But also you have to have the knowledge, you have to have the attitude, you have to have the feel, right? If I panic every time someone says something to me, I can't be that guy that operates under pressure. I can't be that brand. The brand itself is cool. The brand itself is luxury. The brand itself is comfort. It's confidence, right? It's that swaggering walk. It's the way I look when you tell me what the issue is, and I say, yeah, we got solutions for it, right? So branding is not just a look of something, but you actually have to deliver. You have to be the real deal. Some people aren't the real deal. I've met several people and I've seen them in person. I'm like, you're not who you say you are. And I did this talk. I was in Oakland last month at the DMP's of Color conference, and someone asked a question. The question was, how do you know when you get away from being an imposter, or how do you get rid of imposter syndrome? And my exact response was, when you get in the rooms and you're talking to people who are asking for your advice, asking you for your advice, and they're saying that they're the real deal, and you're giving the people who say that they're the real deal the real advice, you're the real deal. That imposter syndrome is gone. Yeah. So you have to exude that through and through. Don't sell something that you're not, right? Don't say you can fly the Atlantic and you really just catching the bus.
Right,
So
right.
you got to be very careful of who these people are. Like, listen, man, I see people get online every day and try to sell something, and I'm not the smartest person in the world, and I'm also not the dumbest person in the world. But I can see when somebody blowing smoke. You feel me?
Yeah.
So you see it easily. Be like, yeah, buy this, and your life is going to 10x. Okay, and then you buy the course, and it's just them like, yeah, I ain't believing. Well, thanks for buying this course. Now I can believe in myself.
I seen it's somebody got a short, like a whole series of that. Like it's a guy, he got his whole notepad out, and the guy's just talking some crap on the. I'm gonna send it to you, but it's the person that sold the course. Like, you just invested $11,532 into this course, and all I'm doing is re-saying what somebody else said, and then the guy get disappointed and drop it. So if you're watching this, uh, I'll leave a link for it so you can enjoy it and laugh at it. But you're 100% right about that. Well, Theo, I appreciate your time. You definitely blessed us with some gems. You gave us 5 steps on how to invest in our health and a whole lot more. I think you really opened up people's eyes to how, when you get on that level, you can get concierge medical service. So everybody go hit up weekendwhitecoat.com if you're interested in concierge service. I'll leave all of Theo's info in the description here. And I appreciate you, man.
Of course, man. Bet, man. We all in.
Thanks.